प्रभु का चिंतन करो, आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन करो। बाकी दुनिया की बातों में रखा है क्या, बाकी दुनिया की बातों में रखा है क्या।
सद्विचारों के सागर का मंथन करो, सद्विचारों के सागर का मंथन करो। पी लो अमृत बना लो ये जीवन नया, पी लो अमृत बना लो ये जीवन नया। आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन करो, आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन करो।
आत्मा तो न्यारे है देह से, आत्मा तो न्यारे है देह से। आत्मा देखिए भाल पर स्नेह से, आत्मा देखिए भाल पर स्नेह से। साक्षी दृष्टा बनो, साथी प्रभु के बनो, साक्षी दृष्टा बनो, साथी प्रभु के बनो। खेल में कोई रोए तो कोई हंसे, अपना अपना सभी का यहाँ रास्ता, दूसरे रास्तों से है क्या वास्ता।
आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन करो, आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन करो। देखो धड़कन में कोई यही गा रहा, देखो धड़कन में कोई यही गा रहा। साथ लाए थे क्या, साथ क्या जा रहा, साथ लाए थे क्या, साथ क्या जा रहा। प्रेम से साथ में सबके हिलमिल रहो, प्रेम से साथ में सबके हिलमिल रहो। खुश वही सेवा से जो दुआ पा रहा, दीन बंधु दया निधि की संतान हम। क्यों लुटाए न सुख शांति करुणा दया। आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन करो, आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन करो।
बाकी दुनिया की बातों में रखा है क्या, बाकी दुनिया की बातों में रखा है क्या।
सद्विचारों के सागर का मंथन करो, सद्विचारों के सागर का मंथन करो। पी लो अमृत बना लो ये जीवन नया, पी लो अमृत बना लो ये जीवन नया। आत्मचिंतन करो, प्रभु का चिंतन
Tina Ben, can you
Sorry.
unmute yourself?
Okay. I saw that. Okay, so I was speaking all this while without you could hear me, huh? Okay, so this Murli is, I was saying, from 1992, and it was spoken on 16th of March. I think by mistake I have written on the slide that it is 1982. I will correct it. But yeah, I was just saying to you earlier that I felt like this is Baba's way of, teaching his children how to actually make self-progress an entertainment. And when Baba looks at our chart also, it is so interesting, the way Baba looks at our chart, the way Baba gives us so much enthusiasm, right? So I thought maybe and journal a little bit. Now, those of you who have joined, I am hoping and I'm trusting that you have read this Murli, right? Nobody missed their Murli yesterday, right? It will be easy for us to actually then talk about it if you have done it before. So to celebrate Holi means to burn the weaknesses in the fire of determined thought and to celebrate a meeting with pleasure. This is the title of the Murli that we all heard yesterday. And first thing that comes to the mind when you listen to the word holy is this holy swan, right? And so that's why I have the picture of holy swan. Now, the first question maybe I ask you all is, what is the different self-respect titles that I, the soul, was reminded by Baba in this Murli? What was the different self-respect point that Baba reminded us? And you all can add, right? So we make it a little bit interactive, if not a completely interactive, right? So because the intention that we are having for this session is that we can learn how to churn this Murli, or any Murli for that matter, but this is an example, how to churn the Murli. And of course, there are millions of ways to do it, and everybody has their own beautiful way to do it. But I just thought maybe I give you some little things to check with this Murli, and then you can apply it for other Murlis as well. For me, first thing that is very important when I listen to the Murli is like, how is Baba seeing me today? Of course, I said the question here as, what are the different self-respect minded of by Baba in the Murli? But the way I would ask myself is, how is Baba seeing me today? Because every day he sees us with a very beautiful vision, right? A very different vision. So anybody wants to share? How do you think Baba was seeing you today?
He's mentioned about being a detached observer. He's also mentioned about master of the nature. There's the first two self-respect point in the Murli that Baba mentions yesterday in the beginning.
Very nice. Yes. What are other self-respect titles he gave us in this Murli? Anyone?
Om Shanti Didi, Holy Hans.
He said, I am a holy Hans, right? I'm holy swan that has the special ability to not only swim but also fly. Right?
Yes.
What else did Baba say?
Baba also spoke about being Sthita Pradhana, because he mentions to be seated in the seat of stability.
Which is the seat of detached observer, which you already mentioned, I think. Yeah. Anything else that comes to your mind? Okay, so here is what I was thinking. Baba said that Father and I, the soul, are combined. He said, you remember that point when he was saying that just like the body and the soul is combined, just like the Father and the I, the soul, are combined. He was giving us that example, that you always stay in combined form and then you do the service, because he was trying to tell us that service for the self and service for others cannot be separated. And so he said that it has to be combined, you know. So this is a self-respect point for me, that I am always combined with Father, just like the drop is combined with the water in the ocean. So I am always combined with Baba. I'm one with Baba. And you already mentioned I'm a holy swan, right? And then Baba said, I am a spiritual rose, right? He said, I, the soul, I am a spiritual rose in God's garden. Not just any garden, but this is a very sacred space where I am spiritual rose in Baba's garden. And then Baba said, I am child of God who is in direct connection with God, right? So Baba says, everyone on this planet is actually my child, but they indirectly know me. They don't have that direct connection. And so they cannot claim the inheritance like how I can claim the inheritance, right? And so I am child of God. This is also self-respect that Baba gave us today. And then, like Raki once said, I am a detached observer soul, right? I have this throne or this seat, if you will, of detached observer, being detached observer, right? So I can see everything without being influenced by anything. And then Baba said, I'm the one who receives the inheritance of three aspects of time, right? I am the one who receives inheritance now. I'm the one who will receive the inheritance in the future, right? So that was also beautiful point of intoxication I felt. So Baba is seeing me in these different forms, right? He's seeing me as a detached observer soul. He's seeing me as a holy swan. He's seeing me as a spiritual rose. And so what this does is, when I remember these different titles or these different visions that Baba has towards me, it elevates my own self-respect, right? And so it's a good way to ask yourself, how is Baba looking at me today? What is he seeing in me today, you know? So, and there were many other points, but I'm just giving you a simple way of thinking how you can churn this. Now, Baba initially spoke a lot of very stable and seated on the seat of detached observer, which is constant, you know, not shaking, not fluctuating, you know, which is unshakable, immovable, just like Angad, right? You all know the story of Angad. He went to Ravan's court, right? Everybody is very powerful there, actually, right? But still, he was able to stay stable. So the question I was asking myself this morning after listening to Murli was that how can we increase this experience of being very stable? Because what happens now? What is your experience around this? You want to share? Do you feel you are constantly a detached observer? Do you feel that you are a detached observer, or you feel you have to pay attention to it?
I feel I have to pay attention to it.
You have to pay attention.
Not a constant affair all the time.
It's not a constant thing, yeah. Because, you know, even when something happens, we instantly react. Why like this? Why I have to do this? You know, what is this happening? Like, this should not happen, right? We get entangled into the story, and even though it is maybe creating, you know, uncomfortableness for me, even though it is not very convenient for me, but still, Baba never said you can react, right? Did Baba ever say that if the situation is not according to your plan, things don't happen, you know, as you have planned, then you can get upset, you can get a little bit reactive, no? As soon as I react, I've lost the stage of being a detached observer, right? So I was checking for myself, how can I increase this whole experience of being a detached observer? And this whole thing can be your one whole big topic of churning. You know, how would you see yourself being a detached observer? Because, you know, when Baba was saying that nature has 5 players and Maya also has 5 players, and no matter how much someone tries to shake you, you powerful souls cannot be shaken. You understand nature's 5 players are? Who are those 10 players?
Nature's 5 players are fire, water, wind, ether.
Right. So earth, fire, water, air, and sky, right? All these elements. And then Maya, 5 players are the algae, right? Anger, lust, greed, ego, and attachment. So when these 10 players are around me, Baba said they will play, right? And so they are not like outside out there. They're actually inside me. They're living within me, and they are not playing their own games. But I have to just be careful that I am not taken away or carried away by them, right? And so I was thinking maybe we do this little exercise of creating these 3 circles and then adding into it what causes disturbance in me, what can cause disturbance in me, or I should say what causes disturbance in me, not what can. At this moment in time, if I look at myself, my stage, whatever it is, what is it that is causing disturbance in me? And then I ask myself, what is it that influences me very easily? I am influenced by it. And then what is it that makes me fluctuate? That means it kinds of shakes me a little bit, you know. So shall we do this exercise? Yeah. Just draw these 3 circles in your notebook, and then, or in your mind if you don't have a notebook, and just think of few things that disturb you. Um, what is it that causes influence on you? And what makes me fluctuate? Those are the 3 things I'm asking myself. Very similar actually, but there is subtle difference. So I'm also going to do the exercise with you so we can get to the same point. if you feel you're ready, then you can also share. Yeah? Anyone feels like sharing? I can share and then you can share too, right? I was thinking sometimes for me, the news of the world, can influence. Suppose I get to know this is not good or this is good, and there is some research, something done, then it kind of influences me. Sometimes someone who is at the higher position also influences me. So I have to be careful, and bring Srimad every time into the picture. And what fluctuates me sometimes weather. If it is a little dull outside, it makes me feel also dull. So it kind of fluctuates my stage. If it is raining a lot, I don't feel like going outside and, not very enthusiastic about doing service. So it kind of fluctuates sometimes, right? Or if I'm told off, which not happens a lot, but still, it kind of fluctuates my state. So I have to be very careful, very attentive, that I don't lose the awareness that drama is predestined, right? And what disturbs me sometimes is when I'm asking a question and instead of getting an answer, I'm asked 10 more questions, So it sometimes disturbs. Like, this is such a simple question. You can just say yes or no. But then I've been asked 10 other questions which are not necessary. So that kind of makes me a little, I don't have time. Just say yes or no like that. Sometimes the way Brahmins behave, that also. But these are very little matters. However, they're still there in their own, little forms. Baba says traces. You have to think of the traces also, right?
Om Shanti, Naben. Can you put
Yes.
on the music?
Yes, I did. Were you able to hear though?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else wants to share? What is this thing about getting disturbed or getting influenced? What happens to our stage? Why we are not able to experience detached observer stage constantly? Because if I don't recognize, I will never be able to transform, right? Sometimes when people waste resources also, right? When somebody's wasting a lot of money, or when somebody's wasting a lot of water, when somebody is wasting a lot of electricity, things like that also can disturb you, right? So think of the ways, different means, different ways, how Maya and how nature can shake us, can bring us into fluctuation. Yeah.
Om Shanti, everyone.
Yes,
Very
brother.
pertinent question. What disturbs me is sometimes loss of an item which is very essential, and I had not been able to take care of it for some time, like my car, which had a wheel cap worn out and it just detached. I just lost it, so it was required for the vehicle to move on. Not essential for the vehicle to move on, but yes, it formed aspect of it. So I was a little disturbed for a while, but then I moved on through it. Second is the health impairment of closed ones.
Yeah,
I
that's,
do take care of that aspect.
yeah.
It does give me an opportunity to guide and counsel them to take care of themselves in a way. Third is too much of work, too much of research, too much of uh, books, things to be read about, and then making a summary of it. The bad aspect of this is that the source itself is not known. You'll have to do a wide variety of research, go online, look for the things. Besides, you'll have to read
We cannot hear you.
Influences me. And the last one is the noise of the colleague. My friend sometimes speaks above the normal level of threshold. I can't say him because he's my close friend, and at the same time, I'll have to focus on lots of things going around. So that sometimes fluctuates me. And what fluctuates my stage is also not being able to go to the center at times because of work. And last thing is the Brahmin lifestyle sometimes, like cooking food, because sometimes it is not allowed in the hostel to do that. And somehow, like, I still manage going ahead with it, eating, and then I mean at the same time working. Sometimes it's not allowed, but sometimes I do manage to do it with the request. So these causes a bit of fluctuations on my stage. Thank you, Baba.
Very nice. Very true, and a very good observation for the self, you know. I agree to so many of them, because sometimes health of your loved ones, or sometimes even when someone is supposed to do something and they're not doing it, causes disturbance in us. But there is this fine demarcation that we have to create now. One is, sorry, Nishil, you wanted to share something before I share? We can't hear you properly. I don't know if it's only me or everyone else.
We're able to hear you, Nishil, brother.
Shanti.
Now, yeah, now better. Yes.
I want to share some causes for disturbances. Thoughts regarding my future. Means as I left my job for further studies, but I'm preparing for that. Doubts regarding if I will get the
Are we able to hear, brother? I can't hear him.
Can you hear me, please? Is it audible?
Better now. It's better now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I was concerning about my future regarding my admission process and all that, because I left my job to learn the new language for I'm specifically talking about the German language, because I want to do masters in Germany. So I left my job and I'm thinking about my regarding remaining for 5-6 months, what will be happen. Second thing is causes for which makes me fluctuate are some family situations, like whatever, as I'm living in the joint family, so many things are going on with brother and father, and so all these things. And third thing is causes for influence. I want to specially want to say about some logic things, like as as you know now Ganpati celebration is coming, so all these little bit things disturbs me. Om Shanti.
Oh, Shanti, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else wants to share?
Adding on to these points, what disturbs me is when somebody is speaking loudly, shouts unnecessarily, and I can't take heat. So the moment there is the temperature rises out, I just can't manage myself. So there's two things, along with a lot of things which has already been shared by a few of us here. And what influences me is the goodness of people, the way they speak, the at times also with challenges, when I see people performing the best, that really influences me at times.
So, yeah, I was saying that there is this fine demarcation that we should remember for ourselves. Is there are two things, you know, they say that do what you can, what best you can, what is in your control. And then what is not in your control, leave it for God to handle it. I don't have to handle everything. going around me, right? I don't have to take responsibility for everything around me. I do what is in my hands. I do my best, and then whatever is not, I leave it. Like, for example, the weather, I cannot control it, right? So I have to tell myself that things that I cannot control, I don't need to be disturbed by them. I don't need to be fluctuated by them, right? I don't need to be influenced by them. And so you kind of try to safeguard yourself by telling yourself that this is not in your control. This is not in your control. What the government is doing, right? Sometimes they come up with new rules and new regulations which are not in your control. So you can't really do much about it. When people are wasting things, right? Too much buying of clothes or too much wasting of money, you can't do anything about that, right? What others are doing, especially, you can't do much about it. And so you ask yourself this question first, that is this in my control? Like, for example, if somebody's scolding or somebody's shouting, I don't have the control over that person, but I have a choice to move out of that space, right? Or I have a choice to go into the cave of my own introversion. But if there are things that are disturbing me, that are causing me to let go of my seat of being a detached observer, that are not in my control, then I'm actually causing harm to myself by giving weightage to those things that are not in my control. But there are things that I can impact, I can control, I can change, I can maneuver. So then those things I have to really be concerned about. And if those things are still disturbing me, that means I really need to work upon myself, right? So this stage of being detached observer, like I was saying, is a very interesting stage. The thoughts are going all inside my mind, but to tell myself that I am not these thoughts is what is being a detached observer. So when I say why these thoughts are coming, how can this thought come in me? I'm a Brahmin for 10 years, you just are not able to discern in that moment. But if you say, I am not these thoughts, right? I'm observing these thoughts that are coming on the screen of my mind. And I just took one example here, but it can be for everything, right? You can apply the same rule for everything. I am not the weather, or I am not what the people are saying, or I am not the way they are behaving, right? So like that, you create distance. And when you create a distance, when you're a detached observer, you can remain unshakable. But the moment I see myself in that picture, right? I am inside the picture, right? I'm inside those things rather than outside watching it. That's what makes the difference. If I entangle myself in that story, if I allow it to engulf me, then I'm going to lose the seat. But if I am detached, I am staying outside and just observing without absorbing anything within myself, that is a detached observer seat, right? I remember Sister Gayatri was sharing this story when she was in front of Babdada. One time, Dadi Prakashmani said something to her, you're not supposed to do like this or something like that. And it was in front of everyone. All Maharathis are sitting there, and Gayatri Ben really felt like a little different. But then next day morning, Dadi was sitting with her hair down, in the courtyard, maybe taking sun bath or whatever. And then Sister Gayatri went there and she had a feather in her hand and she started to put it on Dadi's face. In those days, Dadi was very accessible, especially for double foreigners, right? And so she said, I'm sorry for what happened last night. And Dadi was like, what happened last night? Dadi did not have even a single trace of memory of it, right? And so it was like completely rubbed out of her memory. And she couldn't remember anything. And that's why she did not have anything against or for, or whatever you want to call it, for Sister Gayatri. And that's when Sister Gayatri felt that this is the stage of being a detached observer, right? You just observe at that time. You give the corrections if you have to give the corrections, if you are in that position of being an instrument, or a senior or a boss at the company or whatever. But once it's done, finished, right? You don't allow it to be absorbed inside of your memory track. And if you don't absorb it inside of your memory track, then you can remain very stable, right? In giving love, in giving respect, in giving, happiness to other people around you. So I feel this is something that we can churn on more and we can practice a little bit more, right? From this Murli, like how can I increase this experience of being a detached observer where I am reaching a stage when nothing, nobody, no thing in this world can shake me, right? One time jokingly, somebody said, if God comes and tells you there will be no heaven tomorrow, what will you do? Will you leave Gyan and go and do what you have to do? Or will you just remain and keep doing your efforts that you're doing, right? So nothing, no thing can actually disturb me, right? We have to create that kind of stage.
So
So
the example that you just gave, I have one inquiry question. Can I ask you?
yeah, sure, yes.
So this, while we spoke about this example that you gave, what I was getting was we say we are detached observer, or we for that moment we catch ourselves and we manage ourselves. But after 6 months, something like this again happens either from myself or from anybody around me. That 6 months old story again flashes back. Okay? And we pick up from there. Okay, you did something like this at that point of time also. How do I trust? It is a repetitive thing happening. Now, this is practically which happens, at that moment we forget, but if something like this shows up, we again get triggered. Now, how do one work on this? Of course, it's going to be each one's efforts, but probably some thoughts on this.
I think you will be able to stay in a detached observer stage better than the last time.
And that's one
my
parameter.
experience. Huh?
Yeah, that's one parameter to check one's own efforts.
Yeah, definitely. You will see that because in the first time when I'm giving a test paper, right, maybe I will not get 100%. I might lose a little bit marks because I fluctuated. I was disturbed, like you said. But next time it happens, I may get disturbed, but it won't be the same intensity.
Yeah.
And then third time it happens, I might still get disturbed, but again, the intensity of that would be less. And remember, the test paper only comes because I haven't passed that test yet. I haven't passed that examination yet. So let's say, for example, it is the test of my patience. That test paper will come in different forms from different people, from different situations. But the question that is being asked is, how much patience do I have? But different forms of the test paper can come in front of me. Now, every time it comes, am I still at the same level, or have I increased my patience? Have I crossed it with trust, without questioning, without doubting? Then I will pass, and eventually the test paper will finish. So I think you have to check your progress in that moment and tell yourself that I'm doing better, than last time. And so it's good that this test paper came. At least I know now that I have to do a little bit more work, right? Like Baba said, some of you are in second rank, second number, right? And you just have to make little bit effort and you'll go into the first. But those who are in the fifth and fourth, I don't know how much effort they have to make, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that. You have to kind of track your progress and say, okay, I did much better than last time, but I did not pass with honors. So maybe next time when such a test paper comes, I have to really give the proof of, this virtue or this quality or this power, whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's an access. How much can
Yeah.
I let go?
Yes. So then going forward, then Baba was talking a lot about I was just thinking about this new interesting point. Was there any new point in today's Murli that touched my heart, And I felt that I've never heard this, that Baba said that you receive the inheritance in three aspects of time. You get the inheritance when you're in this body, you get the inheritance after you're dead, and then you get the inheritance when you take a new body, right? So when Baba said three aspects of time, I was thinking past, present, future, but that's not how he explained. He explained this concept in a very different way. And he said that in this body, that means in this Brahman life, I am receiving all the attainments of knowledge, of power, of virtues, of experiencing God's love, right? All of this is my inheritance, no? That I receive from God in this body, in this birth. Now, when I leave this body, I will go to Paramdham, right? I will go to the Supreme Abode. And in the Supreme Abode, Baba said, your inheritance will be that you will be close to me. You will sit close to me. Imagine a soul sitting here, right? Very far from Baba. And imagine I sitting here, very close to Baba. This is what I have claimed. I have claimed this inheritance from Baba, Baba said, right? So after my death, as a soul, as a tiny point of light, I will reside very close to the supreme point of light. That's the inheritance, Baba said. And then when I come into the golden age, he said, I will come into this new body, which is again the inheritance that I have claimed, right? In this time. So Baba says, you claim three inheritances from inheritance and three aspects of time. Was there anything like that that touched your heart? You can ask yourself, what touched my heart from this Murli? And this question can be asked every day. What touched? It does not need to be a new point necessarily. It can be an old point, but that day the chord was struck. Something happened, something touched, something was felt deeply, that there was a realization about it. And so you can think about one such question when you are churning Murli, or when you're revising the Murli, that what is it that touched my heart? Yeah. You want to share anything about this? Did anyone catch this point? Did you feel interesting the way Baba described receiving inheritance in three aspects of time?
Yes, this is very interesting. And in that itself is a self-respect point, that I am close to the Almighty.
Yeah. Not only now, but even after I die from this old world, and after I'm born also, right? I will receive inheritance from Baba.
And that has an in-depth self-respect point of surrendering with complete faith.
Yes. And then Baba switched gears. I mean, in the beginning also he said that, Baba Dada is seeing spiritual flowers. Of course, he said there is variety. Some are very colorful, some are beautiful. They have color as well as beauty. And there are those who have color, beauty, and fragrance, whereas others have simply color and beauty, no fragrance. And I felt that Baba was saying that as soon as you take birth to Baba, as soon as you take birth in God's clan, you become a Brahmin soul. Instantly, your form is changed, right? From Shudra, you become a Brahmin. From body conscious, you become soul conscious. And when I am soul conscious, that is the beauty I am receiving, right? Instantly, I become beautiful because now I am identifying myself with my eternal qualities. I'm not identifying myself from what I have received or acquired from the outside world. So Baba said, you instantly are beautiful, but also you have the company of the Father. And so there is color also. Now, fragrance, I felt, comes as much as effort you make. Your effort will decide, what is the fragrance that you carry. So it's a beautiful question to ask. What kind of spiritual flower am I? What is the quality of I, the soul? Am I able to see my beauty, or am I always criticizing myself? Am I able to see that innate, eternal, beautiful self that I am? Or am I judging myself from that which I see in the mirror, right? You check yourself, what kind of flower am I? Am I always colored by Baba's company? Or am I sometimes colored by the company of the outside world? It could be company of different books, it could be company of different people, it could be company of different hobbies, right? Different things can happen, right? So what is it? And what is the fragrance that I carry with me, right? And who wouldn't love the flowers that have all three in them, right? So you check, what kind of flower am I? You think about, if there are some flowers that have very beautiful form and shape and color and fragrance, everybody would go for that one, no? Everybody would feel attracted towards that one. And if I become that embodiment of attraction, then I can attract everyone to Baba. I can bring them close to Baba. Because Baba said those who have a good stage are able to then bring others out of their problems, right? For that, I need a good stage. I need this color and this beauty and this fragrance, right? So I felt this was also a very nice turning point. Sometimes, if the fragrance is very strong, some people don't like it. But actually, the spiritual fragrance, however much strong it is, that much you would be loved. Right? And Baba said it comes from your purity, right? Which is again an effort, a very deep effort that is needed for that. Right? And then, of course, Baba touched about holy, and he said that past is past. Holy means holy, it's done, it's past. Like I was giving example of Dadi, that is also a good example, that past is past. I'm not going to carry your action in my memory, right? What you did and what you said. I'm going to keep myself clean, right? And then I am yours, Baba. This is the second meaning. And third, of course, we know is purity that the soul carries within itself. So he said, celebrate it, burn it. Burning means removing the past, finishing the past, putting a dot, right? So some of the things you can churn like that. What did he speak about holy? And you can create a paragraph about it. You can write your own things about it. So even if you take just one word from the Murli and sit with it, right, then you can revise the Murli. You can churn the Murli in that way. And sometimes it's also good to connect the dots. Like yesterday, Baba said something, like for example, I was just thinking 2 days back, or maybe yesterday, I don't know. Baba said, you all are making efforts, but the effort is not fast enough. Anyone remembers this point? Baba said, you are making effort, but the effort is not fast, not making fast enough efforts. And then this morning he said that some of my children are mischievous, some of my children are having very fast sanskars or nature. He said fast nature. Some are doing well, but still they all are my children. And I know that they are having this illness to deal with. And I understand that. And I understand it is taking them time to become free from the illness, right? So my love for them never fades. I am never hopeless in them. I'm never disheartened by them, right? This is Baba's quality of love, right? So you can always join the dots, from one Murli to another when you're churning Murli. That will also help your understanding to grow, right?
This one churning point that you just brought in, and if we, what I was getting here was when Baba says, Baap Saman Banna, become like father. And this one quality of father is, if, for example, I'm responsible for any subordinates down the line, or I'm responsible for certain things around, and if there's a mistake being made by someone, am I keeping that on my mind, or I'm giving them that listening, that compassion that they grow in? Mistakes are done, but I'm not sitting on their mistakes to be a point to make them wrong.
Dada, when Brahma Baba was there, I remember Mama saying this to one of the sisters. I don't remember the entirety of the story, but if they used to come to Mama, with somebody's mistake, and one time it's okay, but if that sister came second time, about informing or complaining, whatever you want to call it, maybe informing about the same mistake, then Mama used to bring to their attention that you have already told to Baba once. You don't need to remind it again. Your part is done. So if you are being compassionate and merciful and you want to help them, you inform your senior instruments or whoever it is once, but that's all. If you do it again and again and again, that means there is some vice, either some jealousy or some competition or some, something is going on. But if I have to save myself, then I don't need to see it again and again. I don't need to mention it again and again, because it will become part of me. I do it once and that's it, done. Right? I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yes.
that's how it should be. You don't need to mention it. Even to them, you don't need to mention it again and again. Because Baba says a signal is enough. So you give the signal and that's enough. You did your part, basically. They cannot complain against you tomorrow. Why didn't you tell me? Right? You told, you did. That way.
Yes. And when we bring the same thing, while we are responsible for somebody else, the beauty will show up.
Yeah. And then I was having this last slide, I believe. What is my practice point from today's Murli? Every Murli, you ask this question to yourself. What is my practice point from today's Murli? If you like, of course. Because then that will make that point stand out for you. That this is what I saw, Baba doing or Baba saying, and I want to practice that today, right? For example, Baba said, I'm never disheartened in anybody. So I want to practice the same thing, no matter what somebody is doing, or especially within Brahmin family or students who are just taking course, not able to listen to Murli every day, not able to make that elevated effort. I can't be disheartened by them, right? I can't lose my hope in them, because Baba said, this is the only shop. Where will they go? They will come back here. So if not today, tomorrow. So you talk to yourself like that and say, this is the quality I want to imbibe, where I will never be hopeless in anyone. I will never give up on anyone, right? Then Baba said, we look at nature, but Baba looks at spiritual roses. So yeah, we can look at nature, we can love, but Baba is looking at the spiritual roses, the souls. So then I also want to look at spiritual roses around me. I don't want to look at their weaknesses. I don't want to look at what they did, not did, but I want to look at them as spiritual roses. I want to practice. Baba says fragrance is complete purity. So I want to practice complete purity today in my vision, in my thoughts, in my behavior, in my words, in my attitude, in my actions, right? Complete purity is a whole package, actually. Of course, Baba talked about different aspects of celibacy, right? His definition of purity was very deep, he said. And he described celibacy in mind, where the mind has nobody but one Baba. He described celibacy of the body, which we all understand. He described celibacy of relationships, where there is only one relationship, that of brotherhood, right? And he said celibacy in sanskars. Celibacy in sanskars is nothing but celibacy in my actions, right? Purity in my actions. If my actions are pure, my sanskars will be pure. So I want to practice this deep definition of purity that Baba said today, right? Or it could be just, Baba said the word children is lovely. So if everyone is Baba's child, and I practice that every soul is Baba's child, then I would be as lovely, as Baba is. For Baba, everyone is sweet, everyone is lovely. So for me also, then everyone can be like that, right? I won't judge them. I won't criticize them or put them down or anything. And then Baba said the father is one who gives inheritance. So I can practice this, that I have this direct connection with the Father, with capital F, right? The one who gives me the inheritance. So I want to have the awareness of my inheritance throughout the day, that I have connection with such a Father. And of course, there can be many, many, many points actually in this, but you choose one that you like, right? And then you practice that. You put in your energy into it. You put your attention, you be concerned that I want to practice this point the whole day. You think of that point and you churn that point. I know I'm going over my time, so I have to probably stop. But if anybody feels like sharing something, I would love to hear. What is your practice point from today's Murli? Today meaning yesterday for you. Sunday's Murli. What did you practice yesterday?
Being always hopeful and not losing hope for self and for others.
Nice. Anyone else?
Shanti Didi, past is past. I will never think about the past. This is my takeaway.
Yeah, Baba said put a full stop, not half stop, but full stop, right? He said past is past, burn it. It's not going to come again up until 5,000 years. After 5,000 years, it will happen. So why worry today? We can worry after 5,000 years, right?
Very true. Thank you. Very right.
Anyone else? What did you practice? Or you were too busy? It was Sunday.
Yeah, I'm Shanti, sister. Baba mentions that you'll have to remember me when it's required. Like people usually forget me when it's the time for remembrance, and they remember when it's not to be remembered. That means you need to forget that moment. And probably the thought, the people, the situation. So Baba mentions that very well, and you have to put it in the fire of holy. And then once you put full stop, you remember you're a dot, I am a dot, and then you experience the million. That was a beautiful expression of holy itself. So I would like to take that point home.
Yeah, that's a small mistake, he said, although it's a big mistake when I should remember what I want to remember. Instead of that, I'm remembering that which I don't want to remember. So it's interesting, Baba said, pay attention to it. It's a small mistake, but it is a mistake that takes me away from celebrating meeting with my father. So I have to pay attention and then tell myself, I don't want to remember this. This is not serving me, this is not helping me. I would rather remember Baba. And the more I remember Baba, the more I'm creating new memories, new experiences, and the old will automatically fade away. I don't have to really make effort for the old to go. It will merge when the new memories emerge. So I have to emerge the memories of golden age. I have to emerge the memories of my eternal home. And I have to just remember who I am, what I was like in the beginning of the cycle, right? Very nice point. Yeah. Okay, so shall we stop here, Rakhi Ben?
Yes, Tina, when we can just have some moments of meditation. And
Yeah.
we can
I sit in silence, in the awareness of my self-respect. I see myself the way Baba sees me. And I emerge the beauty of this form, this elevated title. in this spiritual intoxication, it's very easy for me to leave the shores of the old world behind. And with one powerful thought, I'm able to connect my mind and intellect with the Supreme Source, the beloved Father, the one who loves me the most, the one with whom I have eternal relationship and a direct connection. Feel that you are sitting closest to Baba. There's no one in between you and Baba. And this close proximity, I'm able to receive every single ray of His light. And the more I absorb this light within myself, the more I find my own sparkle, my own brightness increasing. Baba touches me in ways that are unique, not only bringing me close to Himself, but also making me equal to Himself. Allowing me to shine just as bright as He is. My love for Baba increases, but my love for my own self is also becoming strong. I'm able to have faith in myself. I'm able to have faith in my destiny. I'm able to have faith in Baba and faith in every scene of drama. And it is this faith that makes me unshakable. Filled with such strength. Very happy mode, I come back to the physical world. Back to the center of the forehead. And for the rest of the day, I will maintain this awareness that I am just as detached observer as Baba is. Never interferes, never intervenes. And I will do the same. As a detached observer, I will play my part to the best of my capacity. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Tina Ben.
Om
Thank you,
Shanti,
Manthan.
everyone. Okay.
And we shall meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.